Just take their money away? You just, all right. They was beating niggas with batons before. That's not gonna stop police brutality.
No.
They beat him but with hands.
With hands.
And tasers. He was not shot. So I don't know what defunding is gonna do. Hands are free.
You talking about the man that got beat?
Yeah. And the worst part is they was black.
All of them. Well, all 5 of them.
Yeah, so it's like I've been listening to all sorts of like interesting takes on why police brutality could possibly, at some point people got to start ripping the Band-Aid off and acknowledging the problem for what it is. And it's the dysfunctional relationship of people to police. Like we want to make it a race thing so bad and we tried for so long because it was white officers and black people. But at this point now it's black people and black people.
Black on black.
It's just police.
Right.
At some point niggas got to acknowledge it's either that the public has such a distrust of police that it creates a hostile environment or the police really are that corrupt. Either one of those are very bad, so I don't know.
Yeah. I saw the other thing as like the whole effect of pushing out the video to watch and then being traumatized by that. And people was like, let's look at this video of when he's doing this, when he's being happy. Do we need to see videos like that to just see how bad it is?
Yeah. So in the context of brutality, I personally, I think like you have to see it for what it is because that's the only way you're gonna fix a problem. Actually, that was a post for Dr. Artie Lang. And he was saying that there are 3 rules to maintaining a dysfunctional relationship. There's 3 rules. Rule 1 is don't talk about it. Rule 2 is never talk about the existence of rule 1. And rule 3 is never talk about the existence or non-existence of rules 1 or 2. And what that really means is you could talk about anything else except the actual fucking problem.
Yeah.
You can bring all this extra shit in except the actual fucking problem. Well, it was race instead of just saying the police are fucked up.
Right.
We could talk about everything except the obvious fucking problem.
Which is the corruption of power. Right.
Specifically power in the context of how police relate to black people. Like police have always been slave hunters. Yeah. From the origin of its context in the country. At some point you gotta start saying maybe the relationship between black people and police really is that bad. Should they be policed by the same organization? Should they have their own or whatever? Like you have to start having real conversations if you want real change, or else you're always gonna have an abusive, dysfunctional relationship.
Did you ever agree that defunding the police was the solution?
Contextually, sure. And what I mean by that is like just saying defund them. Okay, for what? If you're just taking their money away, where's the money going? That second part is more important than the first one. It's not necessarily that I feel the police need less funding. I mean, they're here to protect and serve, quote unquote. But at the same time, if we're taking this money away and we're saying, well, y'all don't need this much. Clearly, you're not doing the job right. Well, what are we now doing with this excess money to alleviate the problem if we're just taking it away from them? You know what I mean? You didn't correct the issue. Now we're back to rule 1. Just don't talk about it. Well, we defunded them, but that didn't fix the actual fucking problem. You just took their money. What was the problem?
It reminds me of a lyric that J. Cole had on Hot for Hours.
Abuse becomes the abuser, and that's just how life goes. So understand, you get the power, but you know what power does to man. Corruption always leads us to the same shit again. So when you talk about revolution, dog, I hear just what you say.
Because the abuse becomes the abuser a lot of times in history. So when you defund the police, it's like now you're on the verge of chaos because there's nothing there to...
There's no protector.
Yeah, and now you're the protector, hoping that your neighbors are the protectors. So it's like, back to your point, let's address the corruption. I think it's always been known black cops were worse than white cops in treatment.
But then you gotta start asking why. And that's what I mean. At some point, you gotta have a fucking convo, bro. Like at some point, you gotta start saying, you know what? Because all that other shit is just beating around the bush. The reason that Jones sat in with me so much is like, at what point do we just start saying maybe black people need to police themselves? So the other half of this is, well, why do you even suggest something like that? When you go around the world, you travel some of these other countries, you learn about demographics of people that have their own internal police structure. Yeah. That is recognized by the country, might I add. So it's like, you start questioning, like maybe there needs to be a second tier layer of policing then. Maybe we should get back to, I don't know, some form of societal culture, like community and whatnot. Respect thy neighbor. Where have we heard these things before? But no, like we get into these peaceful protests and we go, well, we need to fix the police. Okay, but now what? What?
Now you just have a hole.
At some point, you gotta answer. If you can't answer that question, okay, like now what? Not just that, and then offer us, and then here's the real fuck. Offer a solution. Offer a solution. Offer a solution. Don't think that complaining. Offer a real world, feasible, economically obtained solution so that we can actually move forward. The reason why every other group gets shit done is because when they say something, they ask for a solution and it gets done. Ask for a solution.
Even Dr. Eric Thomas put it best like that. In his recent mixtape he has on Spotify. I forgot the name. I think it's called I forgot the name of it, but I'll bring it up in the description. He said in it like, look, when you have an idea or you want to solve a problem, when you say it out your mouth, I want you to write down everything it's gonna take to get to actually bring it to fruition. If you're not gonna do that, then I don't want to hear it.
I don't care.
I was like, that's actually a good point.
Because you know the real part is once you do that, now it's obtainable. Now you can do it. Now we've seen step by step every measure that needs to happen and come up with a feasible solution. The only excuse is laziness. We can work with that. The only reason we ain't getting things done is because you're lazy. I can work with that because we gonna fix that real quick.
What, the laziness part?
Yeah, but that's why you have to come with a solution. Black Lives Matter, all that. Like we just get there and start yelling. Okay, but now what? Police brutality. Okay, now what?
The name of that album I mentioned, it was The Prescription, Eric Thomas.
Okay, and which like it's funny because I say that to people contextually, like just for personal communication and conflict resolution.
Yeah.
But in real life, that's the question that has to be answered 100% of the time for a conflict to resolve. It's now what? Because if both parties don't agree to the resolution, you're still at conflict. But then again, back to rule 1, don't talk about it. Told you 3 rules to maintaining a dysfunctional relationship. Rule 1, don't talk about it. Rule 2 is that rule 1 doesn't exist. And rule 3 is never talk about the existence or non-existence of rules 1 and 2.
I confirm nor deny.
I don't know what you're talking about.
So when it comes to what happened to Nichols in Memphis, do you have a proposed solution for that?
The fully transparent answer. Obviously, everyone talks about training the police, but that's not gonna fix a problem like that. Where there's just obviously no trust in the sheer escalation of officers jumping a civilian. There's not much you can do to kind of prevent it outside of doing a better recruitment of officers or coming up with an alternative policing system, one that doesn't allow for such human error or human flaw. And from there, that's where the solutions are going to get very creative, because now you're going to have to we have to propose something. Like I said, I don't want to call it like a block watch. You need something that's a little more local than even the officers if you don't trust them. If your thing is, I don't trust SWAT, okay, cool, I get it. SWAT come in kicking the door down, I agree. They come in guns blazing. But then how about we make sure we do everything we can before SWAT gets here? That's why I would police SWAT's last. So now it's like, how about before we get to even the police getting here, we have our own internal policing system? What if there were a council of elders in every neighborhood? And I want to, like I said, this is something I suggest, or I just bring up when I do go to these other countries and on other continents, they have their own police. Like, it's different. They have different things, different places. And in the very unique place I've been to, they had literally their own police that the other police of the country came and talked to. And you can almost think of it like town police, county police, or whatever. Same thing, even smaller though.
Kind of reminds me of like Western back then, when the United States was still in its infancy, and they had town sheriffs, deputies. But if the marshals was called in,
shit has hit the fan.
It's hit the fan,
and that's what I mean. But if you think about it, back then there was a much closer relationship of people to police, because as goofy as this sounds, they were locals policing each other. The reason everyone trusted Billy the town sheriff is because Billy grew up over there. It's a locality to it that makes you comfortable. Whereas with today's policing system, you have people that come in from Lord knows where, policing Lord knows what, at whatever district that they've never been to. They have a level of uncertainty and discomfort as well. Like, I'm not gonna sit here and just punch down on police. They're walking into one of the most hostile environments possible. Not to defend anything those officers did, but the real world reality of what these people do on a regular basis is such. Like, they don't know where they're policing. Now imagine if you got to police a 10-mile radius that you grew up in. You're like, I know everything about this spot.
Yeah.
I know where they do crime. I know where they don't do crime. I know what's clean. I know what's not clean. And I know where to hold people accountable and how to do it as such. I know when someone's completely out of left field. I know when they're not. So now you're quite literally policing in a very different manner. It makes you start looking at police very differently in these other countries and whatnot. It makes you look at all their social groups of police very different. It also shows you how militarized our police are.
They're going in, I'm just doing my job.
Once you start to get past rule 1, bruh, once you see how militarized our police become. Then you start going, well, why are they so militarized? And then their response is, well, because the public is so, rebellious. Well, why is the public so rebellious? You start having some very interesting and real world conversations.
Right then there's just having a solid checks and balances between power, and we don't have that, nor is the conversation being had to have that. It's just you want the other team to be removed of their resources so that you can have power, but then what does that do with you? Because now you got to find somebody to check them, and it's just I can just see that as like an endless cycle, which is probably why it hasn't happened.
And so you got the only real solution is everyone finding a resolution, is everyone being in a place where it's like, okay, well, what makes you happy? And then like Eric Thomas said, do the steps, that's it.
Write down everything's gonna take to actually make that to fruition. And if you don't got it, either go back to the drawing board or be quiet.
Give us your options.
As hard as that last step, the be quiet part is, like, you just adding.
You ain't ready. It is what it is, fam. You ain't ready.
And I say last thing on the hash, well, somebody described it as a movement that was born out of a hashtag, which one of the owners of it, the founders of Black Lives Matter, did say that. On my end, I was like, well, there is a need for the uproar, the volume of the issue. My whole thing, and is what was happening on the other side of the scene while they were demanding attention publicly. Who was in the room trying to make these things work out, to bring a solution to the problem? I think it's more the same of, we're going to be loud, we're going to be protesting, but there was nothing was utilizing that. And then we had the corruption that happened, which I wasn't surprised about.
I mean, if you want me to be painfully honest, there's only one escalation from Black Lives Matter, and that's the Black Panther Party. The only difference between the two is one had an organized agenda of points that they wanted done. That was it. If we're being honest about what the fuck it is, that's it. Imagine if the leaders of Black Lives Matter was like, this is a 10-point agenda. It would be literally pound for pound exactly how the Black Panther started. Crazy event, a bunch of people came together, big uproar, great protest. The only difference is Huey and them was willing to stand up and go, no, these are our points, this is what we want. That's the difference. Which is also why the government saw the Black Panther Party as such a threat at the time, is because when they came through with them solutions, everyone started looking and saying, them options ain't so bad. I mean, this is all, go research it. We have museums about this shit. Hoover and it wasn't Hoover, that was, was that Reagan?
No, that was Edgar Hoover.
It was Edgar Hoover. Like, the CIA, they admitted to targeting this group, saying like, nope, they weren't militia, they weren't harming anybody. All the reports are out. You can go read them. They made a movie about this shit. Like, I don't even know what more you want me to say. They made a movie about this shit. The irony of it all is that they took the same programs, and now we do those in our American system now. So that goes to show you the need is there for all of this shit. They just don't want people civilly protesting, really. I agree with that. Like, the country wants things to be peaceful. But as a group, as subcultures, you have to understand, like, this is what it's gonna take to be successful. Present what you need and then move forward with that. This has worked for every group across the human history.
So what was the downfall this time? Just no vision, no plan?
Yeah, there was no plan. What do you mean the downfall? There was no fucking plan. What was the objective of Black Lives Matter? What is the objective if it's still going?
Technically it's still going.
What's the objective? I get it. Black Lives Matter. Cool. You want black people to stop dying. All right. By what measurements? Cancer? I say we're pretty high on that heart thing. So do we want to improve just black health? Black Lives Matter. You didn't say stop police brutality. You said Black Lives Matter. Cool. What's the objective? What is the finite objectives that I can measure and say they're doing well? They're doing poorly. They're stepping up to the plate on what they said they do. They're not stepping up onto the plate on what they said they do. With the civil rights movement, we knew very much this was about voter registration and redlining. It was about civil rights. We knew exactly what it was about. What is Black Lives Matter? Rule 1, don't talk about the actual fucking problem. So as long as you're not doing that, we will do very good at maintaining a dysfunctional, abusive relationship.
And that's what has happened the past several years. And now we as black people in majority do not trust that organization because of what has come out.
I don't want to say is that we don't trust the organization. It's the same with all the things. Like, they haven't done anything. If they came out tomorrow with objectives and agendas to present to Biden to aid black communities in the South, I'm very sure that people would immediately start trusting them again. At some point, you got to put foot to pavement. There has to be something that can be measured, and niggas have to say, now what? All I say, you see how I don't even change my shit don't even change. Because you gonna keep hitting. It's like, all right, no, he being too hard. You gonna come back around? Oh shit, that same wall, it don't move. You gonna have to answer that question or no one's gonna fund it. No one's gonna believe in it. No one's gonna look back and go, yeah, they were about their act. What action? Like I said, defunding the police, okay. For what though? By what measure? Just take their money away? You just, all right. They was beating niggas with batons before. That's not gonna stop police brutality.
No.
They beat him but with hands.
With hands.
And tasers. He was not shot. So I don't know what defunding is gonna do. Hands are free. Like, as sad as that is. Like, hands is free. At some point, you gotta address the dysfunctional problem. Or keep at it. Hard head, make a soft ass. Ain't that what they say?
That's what grandmama and them used to say. Anything else on the subject?
Nah, like I said, it's black and white. Actually, it's not. It's black and black. Haha. But
that dry, morbid humor.
but the problem is, it's pretty clear. Like, black people need to figure out what this dysfunction is with the police and why we don't trust them, and actually address it. And if that answer is by policing ourselves, then we need to be honest about that. Maybe we do need to police ourselves. There is a history of slave catching in the police. Cool. Now that this Band-Aid's done with, cool. All right, but we got the healing process going. What are we doing with it? Let's start enacting our own policing then. If that's what it's gonna be, we cancel niggas, right? Cool. Let's do something. Like, if we want to start our own policing system, let's do it. What's holding us back? Here, these niggas
don't want to be responsible for it.
Or die.
That too.
I brought that up when someone asked. It was like, oh, black people, why don't they start something? I was like, well, in the defense of everyone alive now. That history thing we were just referring to, every single one of them people were assassinated. No matter who you name, at some point you're gonna be like, damn, like him. We killed him too. Gandhi killed him.
Martin
Luther King killed him.
Huey Newton
killed him.
the guy that, oh wait.
Marcus Garvey killed him. Like, we can go down this list of people that are like, yo, bro, like, we just get along. We can go really far.
Yeah.
So, at least you know what you're signing your up for.
Yeah.
Jesus, Martin Luther King, Malcolm, Huey, I'm gonna say, like, Fred, like, this list goes on.
They knew they were signing up to
Marcus,
die.
like, they all die painfully.
I mean, shoot.
Gandhi, none of them have peaceful deaths. Like, they're always, like, painful.
I mean, yeah, I'm going back to what I just mentioned, like Charleston White. Anytime he does an interview when he's not interviewing for something wild, he's like, no, I'm willing to die for this. Like, he's signing up. He knew once he signed up for this, he's like, look, I'm dying for this. It's whatever. Anytime you're looking to make crazy change, like, I know I'm going to die. So I'm about to go out blazing until I'm hit. Tony Baker style.
Tell my mama I ain't gonna make it.
And tell my people I did it all for them.
Shout out to Tony Baker. I seen him live. He's hilarious.
Yeah, I did. I seen him a lot too. He's dope. Because he came to Baltimore. I would love for him to come back to Baltimore again.
I don't.
I'm gonna sit right in the front again.
Never come back to Baltimore. I went to that goofy ass factory, bruh.
I mean, the venue was like trash, bro.
Atrocious.
I ain't like
atrocious. Come back to DC though, big fella. Come back to DC. Me and Baltimore, we had eyes. Goofy ass city.
Well, I mean, Baltimore loved him, so I know he's gonna come back. Like all his every date was like sold out.
No shit, it was funny as fuck.
some cities don't like him. That like they kind of give people like, man, these ashy ticket sales.
That shit was funny.
Being from Cleveland, I was like, come on, Cleveland, you gotta show out. Please show out. They showed it out last minute, so they cool. They did it.
Nah, I ain't got nothing else.
Well, you know, drop a comment, let us know what you think about this whole situation and what would you do about this? Like, you know, what's the solution for it outside of defunding? If you're gonna put defund, put them bullets in there. I'll read it.
I'm not. I ain't gonna waste your time.
He's the one that responds when people want to talk to us.
I ain't gonna read that. He gonna have to tell me, yo, this person from Kamiya, because other than that, I don't even be knowing his comments on there. I barely load the job. I get it, like I upload, that's about it.
Done.
I don't even add to the views. I watched it on Premiere, so I'm like, I'm good. Like, I've seen the whole episode already. I know what it is.
So, all right, catch y'all in the next one.